EP is called Boy Crazy.
Yeah.
Are we boy crazy because boys are like driving us crazy, or because we're like horny? I don't know.
I think Jimmi Paige is this alter ego of mine where who I am as Paige is a bit softer, and the like Only Love Song is more of the softer side of me, but Jimmi Paige is kind of this haunting side of me.
Haunting, yes.
Like in Boy Crazy, I say, uh-oh boy, like, you know, if you screw me over, it's probably gonna haunt you.
Life Rhythms with Ryan Skyy. Observing the world around me, looking inward, trying to make sense of it all.
Fine, baby, trust, I'm a bit boy crazy.
Welcome to Life Rhythms Radio Show. I am your host, Ryan Skyy, Adobe family, Life Rhythms family. I'm excited today because I have here in the studio with me Jimmi Paige. She is debuting her EP today called Boy Crazy, and it is alternative pop. And we're going to be playing songs from the EP today. And I'm excited for Jimmi because I'm excited to hear the music and talk about the inspiration behind the songs, but also the vibe it is like Adobe is the audience for this. Like this is the perfect spot for you to be debuting this. And you were on the show previously with, cause you're also part of the electronic duo Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
And so we had Paige on before, but this is her first solo project. So Jimmi Paige, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you here because we're going to play your music from the EP. We're going to talk about inspiration behind the songs. We were just chatting a little bit about, I had mentioned, because you were here with Bonnie and Clyde, and you were telling the story then about a guy you were dating at the gym.
Yes.
And how you went up to him,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you gave him your number.
Wow, you have a really good memory.
Yeah. and you started dating. And so you and I were just catching up. And I was like, are you still dating the gym guy? And you were like,
No.
but you're like, oh my God, actually all of this music we're about to play today is about gym guy.
Not all of it. Some of my experience within that relationship led me to write these songs, but also I would say my experience with boys in the past also was an inspiration for this music.
The EP is called Boy Crazy.
Yeah.
Are we boy crazy because boys are like driving us crazy, or because we're like horny? I don't know.
I think all of the above. I feel that from such a young age, it was like such a driving factor to meet your person as you get older, to start a family and have this partnership, which I still think is such a beautiful thing, but I don't think it should be the main focus as I once thought. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. And wow, that's so interesting. So how did these songs come about? When did you start writing these?
So I started writing them about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it I've always wanted to have my own project. So throughout my life, I'm a big journaler and big writer. And throughout my life, I've been writing ideas, which kind of all led to this concept of being boy crazy in a way.
Yeah.
And when it came to 2 years ago, I had a little bit of time to where I wanted to write a new project. As I was writing these songs and going through my journals and coming up with ideas, the whole concept of boy crazy just kept coming to my mind. Not necessarily because I was obsessed with boys, but just because a lot of what I was writing about was about relationships and problems I was having. Also just, I'm a hopeless romantic. So it kind of all led me to the concept of boy crazy. And a lot of people in my life, like my family, were really close. And I also come from a family that's a lot of women, and all the women around me at times have been kind of boy crazy. So I also have been inspired by my family members and my best friends and the conversations we've had. And led me to boy crazy.
We should play right away. We should dive into one of the songs because I really want the Adobe audience to hear the vibe, because it's like I was telling you off air. it's perfect for our audience, what you've got going. So
Thanks.
do you think we should start with Boy Crazy?
Sure.
Since we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell us about the song before we set it up?
This song in particular, I was really trying to hone in on not wanting a guy to just think I'm there for like a one night stand.
Okay.
And that if they were to come into my life just to use me or be there for a short period of time, then it would suck for them, because once I'm not in their life, that sucks.
Yeah. I'm looking at the lyrics here. I want a man to make the first move, but on time. Want you in my bed, but not on the first night. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got to have like self-control, and we've got to have value, right?
Yeah. Good morals.
Standards.
Yeah.
Establishing value. Okay. I'm going to play it. So this is Boy Crazy, Jimmi Paige.
I don't wanna be the right girl, the wrong time. If I'm not right, don't tell me you're mine. I'm not looking for a nightcap.
I love the snare.
Thank you.
You can save your gaslight for someone your type. You said I was it, all you wanted was me. You won't be fine, baby, trust. I'm a bit boy crazy. Oh boy, boy crazy. Baby, trust. I'm a bit boy crazy. I want a man to make the first move, but on time. Want you in my bed, but not on the first night. I need a guy that's temperamental, can read minds. If I'm in the mood, bring me things I like. You said I was it, all you wanted was me. You won't be fine, baby, trust. I'm a bit boy crazy.
Yes.
Baby, trust. I'm a bit boy crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Crazy, crazy.
I'm getting Nirvana vibes a little bit.
Thanks.
A little bit Radiohead Nirvana vibes.
Love Nirvana.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of me creating Jimmi Paige, because yes, I am Jimmi Paige.
You got to tell us where the name comes from too.
So I'm a huge Led Zeppelin fan.
Okay.
And for those of you that don't know, Jimmi Paige is icon guitarist, Led Zeppelin. And I also, my dad, who I grew up riding around in his convertible listening to rock music, his name is Jimmy. And when I was coming up with a name, I knew I didn't just want to be Paige. I really wanted two names. And I knew that I wanted to give an ode to my dad and my favorite
perfect.
band. And I just changed up the writing of it. But
It's kind of hot too. I can't explain why. I'm like, it's just Jimmi Paige. Maybe because Jimmy is kind of a androgynous name, right?
yeah. I also have never met a female named Jimmy. So,
Yeah.
and I could just picture, I've had like dreams of shows where people are chanting, Jimmy.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, but Jimmi Paige is this alter ego of mine where who I am as Paige is a bit softer, and the like Only Love Song is more of the softer side of me. But Jimmi Paige is kind of this haunting side of me where you'll get throughout the whole album that yes, I'm talking about what I want, but then I also kind of flip that, and it's a little raunchy and a little haunting, and it's
Haunting, yes.
like in Boy Crazy, I say, uh-oh boy, like, you know, if you screw me over, it's probably going to haunt you.
Because I'm crazy.
So, but what's wild is people that know me, I'm not actually that crazy, but within my art, I get to kind of let out that crazy side because
Yeah.
it's art.
Yeah.
And Yeah, so I think Jimmi Paige is like a little darker alter ego of mine.
I like it. When I was previewing the music in my car the past couple of days, I kept thinking like this music, she's gonna have so much fun performing this live.
I know.
Like I was imagining you on stage with a band. I'm like, this would be so fun to sing and just rock out live.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Has that always been like a fantasy of yours?
Yeah, a huge reason I'm doing this rock alt kind of genre is because I want to be performing live with a band and rocking out. And
yeah, and I want to make sure, like, Adobe audience that's not familiar with Bonnie and Clyde, you've been rocking out as the DJ electronic duo doing festivals.
yes.
Right? I mean, I see, we're on social media, we follow each other, and I see your videos of you, like, standing up on the DJ booth. You know, you've got the rocking it out vibe down.
Right.
It's just a different genre.
Yeah, I've been performing as Bonnie for 10 years now, and I really do let loose on stage. That's pretty much one of my favorite places on earth, is performing, getting up, singing, and DJing. But the whole live aspect, aside from singing with a band, hasn't always been there. So I've always wanted to bring that to life. It's definitely been a goal of mine.
Yeah.
So
When you had said that the idea kept coming to you about Boy Crazy over time,
yeah.
what is that just how inspiration comes to you in general? And you just kind of go with it, or where do you think it was coming from?
Well, when I wrote the songs and I thought about them as a collective, they were obviously very focused on relationships.
Yeah.
But they had this haunting feeling to them, and I didn't want to name the album something that's too soft, and I almost thought it'd be like, it makes sense for it to just be Boy Crazy, because I feel most of the time when a girl is acting all boy crazy, people just call her that, and I think it's specifically what everything I wrote is about. So
Yeah, what is up with that? Do you think there's double standards?
Yeah.
Right? What is that double standards? Like, what is the male equivalent of being girl crazy? Like, you would not really hear a guy being called girl crazy, right?
No.
What would he be called? Just just that he's
gaslighting. I don't know, crazy.
yeah, you know,
question.
there's definitely a
Didn't
double
think about
standard there.
that.
There's not an equivalent, I don't think.
Yeah, but that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
girls have this word.
Yeah.
Girls have this word that they're called when they're, I don't know, in some type of a scenario with a guy that makes them seem crazy. And
So what would be the characteristics of a girl that's boy crazy? Like, is she talking about him all the time? She's stalking him, or she's...
well, sadly, I feel even just girls that are really into a guy, even in a normal way,
Yeah.
like not too obsessive, just are really into a guy, talking to their friends about a guy. Even girls that are their friends will say, "Oh, you're boy crazy." I actually think maybe it came from girls more so,
Oh, okay.
telling their girls like, "You're being boy crazy." One of my cousins when I was growing up, I come from Northern Virginia, and
Fairfax.
yeah. And I was a part of a country club at the time in my area. This one country club was a huge way for all the families to get together. And there would be banquets at the end of the year. And everyone at the country club, all these relationships started within all the kids because we all were super close. And one of my younger cousins won the award of being boy crazy because she had all the boyfriends. And I just found it was a common word used for girls that really loved boys.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. When did you start writing?
So when I was around the age of 8, my parents were getting a divorce, and I started writing poems in a journal. And I also grew up going to church and singing in choir.
Yes. I love that. Yes.
And when I realized I liked the sound of my voice, I started turning my poems into songs and singing them for my parents and my sister. And eventually that led to me in middle school and high school doing theater, and I just fell in love with writing songs and singing. I even auditioned and traveled to Nashville for The Voice, but I didn't make it to Hollywood. And yeah, I just started writing at a young age for my parents going through what they were going through in their relationship. And a lot of my writing has come from hard times.
Okay.
I find I journal a lot more when I'm really going through something that's sad or upsetting. But as I've gotten older, I do write a lot more now too when I'm just experiencing like these beautiful times. And
yeah. But in general, you get inspired by more of the dark that you're going through.
Yeah, and I also think most people that know me, I'm super bubbly and outgoing.
Yeah.
But the artistic side of me, I am super emotional, and I really love movies and film and dark movies and suspense thrillers. And I've always wanted to incorporate a lot of the darker side of me into a music project. So,
What was the process when you were writing these songs? Are you just scheduling sessions and you're just going in and writing with? Are you going in with ideas?
So the Boy Crazy EP is super special because it was the first time I knew exactly what I wanted to say in every session. It was very intentional. Like most of these songs, I went in with the whole concept. I wrote it really fast, and I even spoke through a lot of like what I wanted for the production. And thankfully I had really great friends who are really great at producing that trusted me and I trusted them, and these records were finished really fast. I would say Rockabye was the one song that I brought my really good friend Chandler Layton in to write with me. She's a phenomenal songwriter, and that song took a little more work just writing through it because we really wanted to get the ideas down. But a lot of the other songs, like especially the ones I wrote with Nige, who's another really great producer, like I Adore You and I Don't Want to Be Lonely, these songs I wrote so fast, and it was just like a one-track thought that just kept coming out of me, and I left the studio freaking out that I had like a song made. And
why do you think they were coming so fast?
The experience I was going through at the time.
Okay, tell us about that.
So I was dating a guy that I met at the gym.
Yes.
And for a solid year, it was this incredible relationship I thought was going to be my forever. And then I would say on New Year's of the following year, it's crazy that I think it sparked on New Year's, but
am I gonna get mad at him? I see. I can feel myself getting defensive for you and protective. Like, what did he do?
No, it was just on New Year's, I guess 2 years ago now, about 2 years ago, we were all had a little too much to drink, and my younger cousin ended up kissing his best friend at the bar we were at. And then within like a couple minutes later, as my cousin is just talking to me about the guy she just kissed, we see him kissing the bartender.
Okay.
And yes, we were drunk, so it was a little more dramatic than it should have been, but just the whole him kissing her and then kissing someone else, my cousin was immediately like, F this guy. And it was, at the time, my boyfriend's best friend. So I was just expecting him to be like, that is messed up, bro, kind of a thing. And he just didn't have my back at all and actually thought that I was crazy for thinking that what he did was crazy. And that was kind of like the beginning of our downfall, because from that experience, he like held a grudge over me that I would tell him to just tell his best friend that it was messed up. And that was the beginning where I actually felt that maybe we weren't at the same maturity levels, especially with communicating. And from then on, we just had a ton of weird texting conversations. And I would really have wanted to talk in person, but he didn't really communicate much in person.
How long had you been dating up to this point?
A year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And overall, I was a little immature at this time because instead of communicating exactly how I wanted to, I held back because I didn't want to lose him. And yeah, if I could go back, I wish I would have communicated more in not like a tougher way, but just how I really felt. Because yeah, I think I was a little passive because I didn't want to lose him because I really thought that he was my forever.
Yeah.
But then as things started to take a downfall and we'd gotten like little mini tiffies, I started to feel like I couldn't trust him because I was losing more and more of communication with him. And we both were traveling a lot. I travel a lot as a musician, and he was a golfer, or is a golfer.
Oh, right.
And yeah, so for me, there's something about a woman's intuition that if you're a woman, you just need to trust yourself. But I started to feel like I couldn't trust him. And then once that happened, it took me a couple of months to fully realize I needed to break up with him. But it was the wildest breakup I've ever experienced because there was no fight in him to save our relationship. And I felt that at least breaking up with him, there would have been some fight. Like, oh, I don't want this to happen. Let's try and fix things. But it was almost wild how there was no fight. Like, he was pretty much like, you deserve better.
Wow.
And that...
What did you say to him when you broke up? How did you...
Oh, I was like, here's your stuff that I packed up. Get out.
Really?
Pretty much. I mean...
Was there a reason? Was there a fight that, like, the final straw?
My 30th birthday,
Okay.
he didn't care to plan anything with me for my 30th birthday or do anything. And then there was a moment, if I can remember, when I was super excited to see him when I came back from this trip that I planned with my close cousins for my 30th birthday, where I was so excited to be with him and to spend time for my birthday. And he, once again, didn't really have clear communication and told me he had planned some golf tournament that he forgot about and just kind of blew off my birthday. And I just knew that he didn't care about me anymore.
Yeah, you could
and
feel it.
I could also feel that maybe there was someone else in his life that was like on the back burner. And yeah, and I think that was the best thing I ever did, was breaking up with him, because I had felt he was checked out. And yeah, I mean, there was no
And
fight.
he was, yeah.
And it's crazy.
And have you heard from him since then? Has he made no effort to come back, or yes?
No. So sadly, a couple months after I broke up with him, I reached back out to him.
Okay.
And like showed up at his place briefly to return something of his. But that's when I knew we were over, because you could just see on someone's face when like they do not care about you anymore.
Isn't that so wild?
Yeah.
How people switch. It's
Yeah.
like so extreme.
Yeah. But I definitely felt, now looking back, that there was a little bit of gaslighting going on, where I think initially he really saw me and wanted to be with me and put on, I don't want to say a facade, but he definitely would take me out on dates and felt emotionally mature. And then the second year happened and it was like this totally different person. So I was a bit confused.
Okay. I'm going to pull in attachment theory.
Okay.
Are you, because this is interesting. We talked about attachment theory last time you were on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I'm not a professional psychiatrist, y'all, but I do know that there's the different stages of a relationship. Mm-hmm. You know, there's the dating and then the honeymoon stage.
Yeah.
Certain attachment styles, when they get to the power struggle phase, is when they struggle the most. It's usually when they check out.
Oh, and I definitely lean more, I don't want to say I'm secure, but I'm definitely more secure anxious. And he was definitely more anxious. I mean, not anxious, avoidant. Yeah, for sure. Which I didn't think at the beginning of our relationship, but once the second year hit, he was definitely avoidant.
Yeah, it's like when they start to feel a sense of seriousness or commitment, it's when they freak out inside.
Yeah. I also talked a lot about eventually wanting a family, and
yeah,
I think him having this golf career that he hadn't made it into the PGA yet, he definitely, I think, saw that, and maybe I scared him, and I think all he wanted was to truly do golf. And what's crazy is when I initially got into the relationship, I was so fine with him prioritizing golf more than me, which is crazy to think about now because I would never want that in a partner, but I just respected his dedication to the game and how much he really wanted it. And I did the same for me with music. Like, you know, I love music so much. Like, I always prioritize it, but
you're uniquely positioned to support someone like him.
Yeah.
Because of your career, because you need that yourself, and it's hard for us to find that in a partner.
Yeah.
Right? To not be jealous and to kind of give space for someone to go off and to tour and to come back.
And we both understood traveling a lot and just having like such a passion in something.
Oh, so was this your first serious relationship with dating other than Clyde?
I would say yes. It was my first real like adult love.
Oh, yeah. Okay. How do you feel now looking back? Because when did you break up?
My 30th birthday last year.
So do you feel like you have perspective now?
Oh my gosh. I just feel like I'm a completely different person now because when I look back at my whole life, since my parents got divorced, had this strong feeling about relationships and wanting to be in a partnership that worked out. So my whole life I've been bouncing relationships to relationships. Like I think I was single maybe a year in college, but I was just having the time in college.
Okay.
But as an adult, I really haven't had a lot of alone time. And this year I have been alone and loving single life and dating a lot, but not for the reason of I really like so ready to settle down, but more so to experience different people and see what I like and what I don't like and just what's out there. I travel a lot, so I'm able to experience a lot of places with a lot of different kinds of people.
Yeah.
And I think people really just take for granted alone time, or they think that it's this sad thing, but it's the chance to really get to know yourself and just become exactly who you want to be, because then when you meet that person, hopefully you're going to be able to be strong in your values and your morals and communicate properly or in the best way that you can.
Especially for somebody who's anxious, it's hard to be alone.
Yeah.
It's very hard because anxious people tend to regulate themselves through other people.
Yeah.
So they almost need the other person, you know, to soothe them and so to be alone. And for an anxious person, the number one fear is fear of abandonment. Mm-hmm. And so to be alone, it's hard not to internalize that as like right now I'm abandoned. But that's good that you're able to, that you're finding joy in being by yourself now. Do you feel like you chose wrong with this dude, or like is there a pattern there, or is he similar to other people you've dated, or do you feel like you just learned something from it?
I definitely am still, I don't want to say like I have a thing for hot guys, but I tend to, when I see a really attractive guy, I'm like, wow, like he's so hot.
And you're in LA. That's rough. Like, what gym do you go to? Because it's
I don't go to that gym anymore.
Okay. But pick your poison.
No, but I've in the past definitely gone after tall, dark, and handsome, or the guy that's really hot, and then I'll be like, you know, getting to know them and potentially not care about certain things that don't match with me because I'm so attracted to them physically.
Yeah.
Where now I'm definitely focused more on obviously I've been dating some attractive people, but when I'm dating, focus more on whether we actually connect for the right reasons. Which obviously I'm single and have not found yet. But, you know, it's, I think it's just going to be more of a process because I'm not going to fall into something as easily anymore for the physical aspects of things. And, yeah, there's other things that I care about, I think, now than what I used to care about. Yeah.
People often ask me what it's like dating in LA, and they're like, it must be so hard dating in LA. And I'm like, it's challenging, but I also don't know. It's also hard to say if it's just LA or if it's the time we live in, if it's our generation. It's difficult anywhere. It's challenging anywhere. I mean, because then you hear statistics about, I mean, the statistics are pretty grim, you know? It's like, I think it's like 50% of women are not 50% of women are not mothers, or I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but it's the number of women that aren't mothers is low. And then also it's challenging for women too, because especially like women date at their level and up. You're wired for hypergamy, choosing somebody that's either at your level or up, and men date down.
I know,
but that's how we're wired. Like men don't date up because a woman is not going to date me if I'm below. If I'm like, you know, if you just have a natural instinct to want someone at your level or above. And a lot of issues one of the issues is that, like, for instance, women are out graduating men in college 3-1.
Wow.
So you've got more college educated women in the marketplace. They're earning more money, and so the pool of men that are at their level or above is smaller.
Yeah.
So there's less men for them to date.
Yeah.
And then also men, like, we're struggling too. We're really struggling because like you can't, like, you know, like if you could be earn a middle income in the 60s or 70s, and you could have a house, you could have 3 kids and a wife, you could send your kids to college. Yeah. And now, like, you can't even like afford a studio apartment or something on a middle income. So men also like are struggling because they want to be the provider. Mm-hmm. But the economy and the way things are set up for men, it's like almost so hard for us to be that provider. And then women are wanting that naturally. It's just the whole thing is like skewed right now.
Yeah, it's also interesting. I think at the end of my last relationship, I sold myself short a little bit because I was so willing to settle for what we had when, I don't know, it's now... You're very right where I'm looking for someone that's at my level or higher, because I also want someone that can provide and inspire me to be better and whatnot. But like my last relationship, I think he felt like I at one point was just had more going on and was more successful, which I think maybe like wasn't good for him. Like he was like, wow, like she's doing better than me and I'm just not doing, like I'm not doing well. And and I just wanted to be there for him. And it was like hard for me to be there for him because I think his ego didn't like that, that I was doing well. Like, because a lot of the time, especially in the electronic scene, it's a lot of like fun experiences and feeling like you're gaining new successes. And with golf, I mean, I think if you're playing golf, you have to accept like failing 90% of the time or 99% of the time. It's a lot of losing, like accepting that you lose a lot.
It's not as glamorous, right?
No. And
you've got like pyrotechnics and, you know, fog and like whoosh, and the crowd's screaming and cheering and you're being interviewed and and then he's, you know, by himself on the course.
It's crazy. There was a time where I was like so okay with that. Like I was like,
well, that's, you know that, we know that. But like for the partner, it's hard. It's hard for them to know and accept that.
I'll never.
A lot of times, us musicians, we want like a normal person. We don't want somebody like all glamorous. We want the normal.
Like I don't need someone famous, but now I do want someone that is successful and already like pretty established in what they do. Because I don't know. I just want them to uplift me, and I felt there was a lot of that relationship where I felt like I was being drowned in this like endless pit of I'm not good enough for him and he's not good enough for me.
Oh yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so it's good. You've got a new chapter going on now.
Yeah, and it's also wild that I'm just dropping this music because I wrote it like a year ago.
Okay.
And now I'm in this place where I love this art so much, but I'm already making so much more that I'm going to be releasing after this EP. And there's going to be a couple songs that are still kind of from that era.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's empowering to put out music, I think, from whatever phase you were in, regardless of being in that phase now, because I'm definitely in this way happier, more uplifting phase in my life.
Yeah.
I love where I'm at, and a lot of these songs, I think, but that's why I love rock music. I think it just brings me back to those times in my life. So I think this music will do the same for me.
Which times in your life? Like being in the convertible with your dad?
Yeah,
times
like
when you were a kid?
Growing up with my dad in the convertible, listening to rock music. I had a lot of really crazy things happen in my life when I was younger. Like high school for me, like I'm happy I survived high school. Like I was in a bad car accident. I almost died.
How bad?
Like really bad.
What happened?
So I believe it was my junior year. And I was getting picked up to go to a party. It was like 7 p.m. I hadn't even got to the party. We had alcohol in the trunk. And this girl, we got on the highway. I was the only person in the back seat without my seatbelt on. And the car, she overturned on the highway. It flipped off the highway onto the hood. I was the only person in the car without a seatbelt. And I had a really big gash in my face. Like I came out completely fine. It was apparently one of the safest cars at the time too. But I ended up on a hospital bed, all these doctors looking over me, wondering how I was alive. Like it was one of the craziest experiences.
Wow.
And I had like a plastic surgeon flown in. My dad was there. It was one of the craziest experiences for me. And something about that time when I was not in school and I was healing from all that, I listened to a lot of kind of darker music. And yeah, I don't know. It just, a lot of this music brings back a lot of times from my past that make me me. So
yeah. When you go into that accident, did it have changed your relationship with life?
Oh yeah, it really, that was like the first time I realized like I'm not invincible and anything I could do could kill me. And I was a really big partier in high school. I threw a lot of parties, and I was just a wild kid. My sister and I were kind of rebellious, and my parents' divorce probably helped that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and I listened to a lot of like rock and hip hop, and the Washington D.C. area is pretty diverse, so I kind of listened to all kinds of music.
Okay.
But a lot of the darker stuff sat with me.
Didn't punk, wasn't that one of the strongholds for punk early on?
Yeah.
I remember watching a documentary about it and how the punk scene, that DC area was pretty important for the
It was a big music area in general, but yeah.
You grew up singing in the church, but when you were in high school, were you still religious or spiritual, or were you not at that point?
So in high school, I think I wasn't as religious as when I was like elementary school and middle school, and my parents were kind of forcing me to go to church. Yeah, and like after my car accident, I ended up losing like one of my close family members. He was like my oldest cousin, Ryan. He was 18, passed from an unknown death. So like this time in my life was like very dark for me. So my belief in God and faith in general like wasn't as heavily there as maybe it should have been, because I just was confused. I was like, how could this be real?
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a pretty interesting childhood. But with all that being said, both of my parents, even with their divorce, they were very loving and supportive of me and my goals. And my dad has always, because he kind of turned me on to music. He was in a band when he was younger. He's always been super supportive of anything I wanted to do with music. So,
Does your dad sing? Does he play instruments?
He did sing a little bit, more of guitar, and yeah.
Where do you think you got your voice from him, his side, or?
I think so. My mom's never been a singer.
Never been a singer?
No, but she's super supportive of. She was the first of both my parents to like really come to my shows and support me. Like she loves going out and seeing me. And
yeah.
Adobe
family, real quick, if you're tuning in part way through this interview, This is Life Rhythms radio show, and I've got with me Jimmi Paige. We're featuring her brand new EP, her first EP, and we're playing music from the EP today. And I want to jump into more of this music.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about the story behind a lot of these songs. So which of these songs do you think will be fun to play now that people know some of the story of?
I would love you to play I Adore You, because that's a song that really defines a lot of the whole EP, I think.
Okay.
It's like this balance between I really love someone, but it's not necessarily good for me.
Okay. So this is I Adore You.
If you practice what you preach, I wouldn't question everything. I'd breathe you in and keep you here till I black out. If you crawled in bed with me, I wouldn't let you leave. Sadly, I keep replaying conversations. Your words are a temptation, but your actions don't match up anymore. I could hold on to this hatred, but somehow you stay in my good graces. What do you take me for? I've only ever loved you so hardcore. You see me break and you ignore. The way you fuck me up makes me want more. And I adore you.
Yes, I love it.
You said casually, your love doesn't come easily. My friends keep telling me I'm wasting time and energy, but I don't believe, guess I'm naive. I didn't want you to be a memory. I guess I thought we were an anomaly. I could hold on to this hatred, but somehow we stay in my good graces. What do you take me for? I've only ever loved you so hardcore. You see me break and you ignore. The way you fuck me up makes me want more. And I adore you. What do you take me for? I've only ever loved you so hardcore. You see me break and you ignore. The way you fuck me up makes me want more.
Oh my goodness. My heartstrings are being pulled in all the different directions. I love your voice.
Thank you.
I always have. I love the tone of it. It's
Thank
so
you.
sweet and has like an intimacy to it. Yeah. Oh, relationships are so it's like bittersweet, but I don't know. It's like I just all the different emotions in there. What do you think about? What do you have to say about that song?
Well, thank you so much for saying you love my voice, because people comment on the low tone of my voice all the time. And when I think growing up, I always took it as like, oh my God, I sound like a man. But now that I'm older and making this music especially, I love my voice.
Yeah.
I think that it's different because there's a lot of sopranos out there.
Yeah.
And I feel like now more than ever, there's a lot more women with lower voices, and especially like in music. Yeah, I don't know. I really do enjoy my low tone now.
Good.
So thank you.
Embrace it, yeah.
And I Adore You is one of the easier songs for me to write, because I just had this idea of like I couldn't believe someone would make me feel like they don't care about me anymore, and that I could love them so much still.
Yeah.
And when I finished that song, it really brought me back. It was like this nostalgic feeling of, I feel like I'm a young girl again, like with my first crush. And growing up on Avril Lavigne, Paramore, Evanescence, it just kind of gave me all these different vibes, that era, that really made me fall in love with alternative pop music. So I was super proud of myself. This might be my favorite song on the whole EP. But yeah, I think that this song also just defines a lot of what the EP is about, which is this back and forth feeling of like really loving someone and wanting so much for them to love you. But at the end of the day, you can't change anybody or convince anyone to keep loving you or want to love you. And I don't know, it's just this, you hope that when you get into a relationship with someone that you grow together. And I've found in the past I've grown apart from people, and I think at the end of my last relationship I wanted so bad for things to stay or go back to the way they were at the beginning, but we just weren't on the same page.
Yeah.
I
was gonna say on the same Jimmi Paige.
Yeah, and that's okay. I'm so grateful for that relationship because it brought me not only this EP, but I just, where I am now, I'm in such a great place. And
when you are done with the relationship, when it's over, are you able to close the door and move on? Like some people can just, there's like a switch and they move on. And for me, I've come to accept about myself that I can't do that. I let very few people in. And if I let you in, you're in forever. Like even if we break up, like those few people that I've let in have like a permanent place in my heart. Whereas other people can just be like, oh, it didn't work out, and they're done, and they can genuinely move on and like even be friends with the person. And I personally, that doesn't work for me. But like, how's it with you?
I personally, most of the time it takes me a couple months where I go through this like really bad heartbreak, and I can't accept that we're not in each other's lives anymore. And that for this past relationship, because I had felt such a strong feeling the first year and I really saw this life that we could have together, it took me a couple months after the breakup for me to really get over us, because I was like, wow, like how could he be so fine with just walking away from all of what we were and could have been and all that stuff. But then once I started to really just dive into the things that I love and started living the most authentic to myself, I realized how different we were and how much I was just letting life be this collective between us two, but it wasn't exactly how I really like to live my life.
Yeah.
And I also, when I get in relationships, I love to do so much for that person. Like I cook for them. Like I even so much so started this whole TikTok kind of business with him, where I saw that he was doing other things that he didn't want to be doing to make money for golf. And I was like, wow, like, okay, like, so I started we started filming videos, and we actually had a TikTok blow up just off of our videos together, and we were making money. And all I could think about was, wow, this is money that we could be making for us, for our futures, for like you to play golf, but also for our potential family. And I think that he saw what I was doing as I just loved social media or loved content, which is so
disconnect.
Yeah, it was interesting. I just think that he saw me as one thing, and I just like really loved him and wanted us to work out. But backtracking to what we were just talking about, what we lost track.
I don't remember what I asked you. I mean, I was telling you like about when you move on.
Oh, moving on. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it took me a while to move on from all of that because I felt like we had built so much in such a short period of time. And I don't know, it's not every time you're in a relationship, or at least for me, where you talk about like infinity, like the infinity symbol was our thing. We started dating on the 8th, this whole thing. So it took me a couple of months to get over that. But then once I started living my life and I started a podcast called It's a Hard Rock Life.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, it's on Spotify.
Okay. It's called It's a Hard
Rock Life.
Rock Life. Okay.
And it's kind of like, it started initially as like a self-help podcast, just talking about like life and different things, like different subjects I really wanted to talk about, which it still is that, but it also kind of led into me just talking about my touring and my life as a musician and what kind of goes on behind the scenes. And I found that more people on my Instagram wanted to like just get more of an inside look on my everyday life. So it now is kind of both. I do both. But I would have never started this podcast, I don't think, if I wasn't alone. Like I have so much time alone where I can just focus on me. And then I had all of the content I made around this album, which was a lot of focusing on all the ideas behind all the things I wanted to film. And I just been traveling a lot more than I already was traveling a lot with my job, touring. But this year I ended up traveling like solely to like Ibiza and Italy and all these other places, not just for music.
Where in Italy did you go?
Well, my friend got married in Lake Como.
Oh.
Yeah. But I ended up going to Sardinia with another friend and then Croatia after. I just traveled a lot, and I'm actually about to travel to Amsterdam and London before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Because I just want to keep learning, and I feel like the more that I travel, the more I experience and meet new people and learn a lot more about others and myself. And I just feel like when I was attached to that last relationship, like we got so comfortable that I would just hang out with him every night, and that was okay for me. And I wasn't really growing.
I'm calling it right now. I'm receiving a message from God, and I'm calling right now. You're going to meet your man overseas, traveling. You are. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
That's
going to be tough.
It's going to be totally unexpected, and it's and no, because that happened to one of my friends, Autumn. She's a songwriter, and she, like, her and I used to always talk about dating in LA, and she was just totally over not that you're over it here, but she was over the guys. So she would go on date, and she's very much like, she would go on dates, and guys here would show up on a first date wearing like sandals, you know, and like maybe capri shorts or something, and she would just like look at their sandals and she'd be like, no, like this isn't gonna work. And she would just be like, and they're like, wait, but she's like, you're wearing sandals to a first date. Like, she's like, just trust me, this is not gonna work. And then she would leave. But she was in Norway doing a writing session, and she unexpectedly met who's now her husband. She met him in Norway, and they got married, and he moved here, and now they live here. Wow. And they have a child together, and like they're amazing together.
Well, I like that story of them moving and not being long distance.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, just because you meet someone overseas doesn't mean it's not going to work out. Like he had a house over there. He sold his house in Norway. He moved here. He's like an architect, and they live here. They have a house. She just had her first baby, and I just have a feeling you're going to meet somebody abroad.
I love that. I also, just to touch on dating in LA, it is pretty rough, mainly because I've found that, at least from my experience, it's gone one of two ways, where a guy is super established, almost has like a little bit too much of an ego and feels like they're too cool for you. Or the other side, I've experienced of guys who aren't established yet and like aren't making a lot of money and like can't properly communicate that. Yeah. So they almost just fall off because they don't want to upset you or like make you know that they're not good enough, which it's just wild out here because it's been one or the other where
there is no middle ground.
There's no middle ground.
Because what's the middle ground? What would the middle ground even look like? Like, could we even visualize it?
I just feel like finding someone that's established that doesn't think they're too cool would be nice.
That would be nice.
But no, and a lot of the time like I don't even run into love bombers anymore where they like really know how to like wine and dine you. Like, no, guys I think just expect to like go out and hook up with a girl and that's good enough. It's like been really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been dating much recently in LA because it's just been rough. I actually been dating more in New York.
Oh.
New York City is a really great place.
I used to live there.
I just find that there's like a lot more people there. And
well, yes, technically that's true.
well, that are out. Like there's a lot more energy out and about, so you meet more people. I think in LA things are a little more spread out. And
yeah, I noticed when New York to here, when people ask me the difference, I would say like in New York, people are dating wise. I found that they were like quicker to write you off as not a match, but more likely to commit.
See, yes, I agree.
And now here, people are way less likely to write you off.
Yeah.
And way less likely to commit.
Yes.
Like here, it's like everyone's just like wants to hang out. They want to see you. They want to kind of keep the door open, and it's hard. They don't want to commit, but it's the opposite of New York, which is refreshing.
That is so like on point. Like that is like exactly what I would say.
Yeah.
I'm from the East Coast, and I love being super like upfront when it comes to whether or not you're right. And if you aren't, like, hey, like I've had such a great time, or even just, hey, like we should be friends or like see you around. Here in LA, guys, they won't end anything with you. They'll just let the conversation die.
But keep watching all your stories.
But keep watching your stories and want to know what's going on in your life.
It's very
funny.
It's very interesting. Yeah.
They do want to keep the door open here, which is just so funny.
Yeah, it's true. I miss the directness that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing.
It really is. It's so nice to just communicate.
Right?
And yeah, I also find that sometimes guys in LA, when you do communicate, think that it's like rude or something, where it's just, no, it's just I'm telling you how it is.
Yeah.
For me, you know? It's,
yeah.
It's definitely wild.
What was it like when you first moved here, having that directness? Because for me, I noticed that when I moved here, I definitely had that New York hustle. And, you know, I was very on it. And I kind of had to learn to kind of like, not soften my approach, but be more warm in my approach. Because I'd be following up with people and be very direct. And at first I kind of like rubbed people the wrong way here. Because they're like, yo, whoa, like this guy's very like...
Yeah, honestly, when I first moved here, I was touring and traveling so much. I didn't like dive into LA life too much. Like I wasn't like out and about. I stayed home a lot and worked on a lot of music. Okay. Yeah, like my first year or so in LA, I really was not out in LA that much.
Yeah.
So I was traveling a lot. And just now being single and at the age that I'm at, I just take things in my life more seriously. Like I do like to go out and have fun, but if I'm talking to someone, like even right now, I find it's hard to get guys to want to text to meet up instead of having texting conversations. And I just don't think texting is to get to know each other. Like,
hell no, it's not.
Communicate when we're going to hang out.
Yeah.
So we can get to know each other in person.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like, I've had to tell some guys recently, you know, you should let me know when you're free so we can get together sometime. Like, the texting just becomes so monotonous.
It's got to be so frustrating being a girl because, like, I'm so grateful to be the guy because I'm the one that like I know I can initiate and I can court and I can lead.
Yeah.
But to be on the other end where you're wanting the person to do it and you're just hoping that they'll just do it and know and then they're not, it's got to be so frustrating.
Yeah.
But then whenever you come across it, it must be like so refreshing.
Yeah.
Wait, did he just like reach out and just like invite me out somewhere and have plans and plan it all
It's
out?
rare. It's definitely rare.
Okay, guys that are listening out there, I want to tell you about, there's a dating coach online that's helped me out so much.
Oh gosh, I probably know who they are.
Do you know Corey Wayne?
No.
Coach Corey Wayne. Oh my, OMG, I'm shouting him out. He changed my dating life.
Wow.
He wrote a book called 3% Man. The idea is like in business, the top 3% in any industry earn the lion's share of it. And it's the same thing in dating. Like the top 3% performers of men have the lion's share of success and women and so forth. But But what I really like about Corey Wayne, he's all over YouTube, is he's really figured out the real dynamic of men and women, and he coaches men in a way that teaches them how to court properly, and also and like he teaches like the phone is for setting dates, the phone is for making plans.
Yeah.
Because when I moved to LA, I had been in relationships and I never dated. I never got to date, so I had no experience approaching anybody, and I just totally like fell on my face left and right, and I just kept blowing it. And then finally I came across his work, and I realized all the things I was doing wrong, like so many things, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, like his advice is great. Don't be your girlfriend. Don't be her emotional tampon. He says, don't be her gay male girlfriend. Like, the phone isn't for getting to know each other. It's for setting dates. But he walks you through the process of meeting somebody, approaching them, even like little things, guys. Like, for instance, like if I go up to you and say I think you're cute and I want to like hit on you in public, and say I go up to you and I compliment you or something and I ask your name, most guys will be like, hey, what's your name? I'm Ryan. And then you'll be like, I'm Paige. But he'll teach you to just say, what's your name? And you're like, I'm Paige. And just like, it's nice to meet you, Paige. And don't offer your name. And wait to see if Paige asks you, well, what's your name? Then you know she's interested. Because like a lot of times guys they give that away right away. And it's an opportunity to gauge the other person's interest. Yeah. So like if I ask you your name and you tell me it's Paige, and I said, oh, it's nice to meet you, Paige, and you don't ask me who I am, that means you're not interested. And it's good to know that. But if you do, then it's kind of like a little green light, like, oh, she's a little interested. Okay, let's keep the conversation going. You know?
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah. But he's not a pickup artist. It's not about that. And he also teaches you when you're in relationships, like how to communicate with women. Yeah. It's very interesting. So Corey Wayne, 3% Man.
I wish that people were open more and way more direct. Even if you met someone and just wanted it to be like a hookup thing, like just saying, hey, like, I don't really see this going long term, but like I love our hookups, and like just being open about that, because that would be even better than this. Like I know sometimes when guys aren't interested in what I have fully going, like they wouldn't want to do something long term and they just like that we've hooked up or whatever. Yeah. But they'll play like, I don't know, it's this weird, they don't fully respond back until like later, and it's like this weird energy. I don't know, sometimes I think guys want to be chased nowadays, and it's like, no, because I mean, maybe they're not ready for a fully committed relationship, fine, but it's like, I don't think girls are interested in chasing guys.
That's the other thing, guys, is what girls say they want and what the way they actually respond are usually two different things.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like, guys, don't ask girls for advice for dating girls. Because a lot of women don't even understand why they respond the way they do in situations. Seriously. I mean, it's true.
Okay.
You know?
Wait, you think girls want to chase guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, see?
Why do you
don't think
that?
so?
No. I think girls want to be chased.
They want the guy to show interest.
Right.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the time, like, I think guys think about, oh, I'm not going to respond back for like hours. I don't want her to think I'm interested. I want her to like just come at me.
But guys, how many times have you dated a girl and she's complaining that she's not hearing from you enough, that she's basically communicating that she's wanting you to reach out more and to chase her, and then you do start chasing her and then she loses interest. And she doesn't know why she's lost interest.
I don't know. I think if a girl is really into a guy and he just responds like normally, she'd be happier than the non-response for hours.
For sure. Yeah, there's definitely a pace to it.
Yeah.
There's definitely a pace.
If you like it, I think if you like a guy, you're not going to feel like he's coming on too strong by responding in normal time.
Yeah, I'm not talking about normal time.
Yeah. I mean, if a guy is coming on too strong, then yeah, I mean, it might be a little.
But in terms of chasing, like a lot of guys don't pay attention to, like they'll double text or they'll start over pursuing. It's good to pursue, but a lot of guys start over.
I haven't experienced that recently.
Okay.
No, like more likely than not, guys will like wait till the next morning to respond. They're like, I don't want her to think I'm too interested, because there's something.
So you think they're playing games?
100%.
That's the other thing I like about Corey Wayne is he's like, do not play games with women.
Yeah.
Like, he's definitely shows you the proper pace, but he also shows you to be direct. Like, be direct. Like, don't just be, hey, how are you doing? Good. What are you doing? Oh, I'm doing this. What are you doing? No, be like, hey, like, I want to see you. Like, when are you available? What's your schedule like? Like, get right to the point.
Right. It's also like, let's not waste anyone's time.
Yeah.
Because at least for me, like, yeah, there's people I've been talking to that like I would just want to have like a fling with. But I've communicated it to them. And if it's someone that I have more interest in, I mean, lately, the people I've had more interest in, they tend to, be like late in their responses. And I think it's because behind closed doors, they're either not ready to commit to someone, or they just want to hook up thing and want to like delay whatever's going on. Or, I don't
Interesting.
Know. It's wild.
Well, you have a song. Which one of these is the song where you're talking about? It's about hooking up.
Oh, gosh.
It's about having a quickie.
So
I want to play that one because we're on this subject.
So I don't know which one you're talking about.
Is it Nymphomaniac?
So Nympho is actually a little inspired by the fact that
you like have a speaking moment in it.
Oh, I don't want to be lonely. That it was inspired in being in a relationship where I started to feel alone, and I felt like the person I was with was kind of wasting my time because I could felt them checking out, and I felt alone while we were together.
Is that the one though?
That's I don't want to be lonely. Yeah.
That's where you're talking about a hookup though.
Yeah, in the bridge, I say.
Where you kind of laugh.
How do you not have time for even a quickie?
Is that this one?
Yeah.
Can we play that one?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, Adobe family, if you're just tuning in, this is Life Rhythms radio show, and my guest today is Jimmi Paige, and we are featuring her EP Boy Crazy, which is out. And we're coming to the end of the show, but I wanna play this. So this is I Don't Want to Be Lonely. Okay.
You like all of these followers, but do any of them actually know you? You care more about your job than the ones you love. Oops, I did it again. I spit the truth. I don't care about the morning text. If you're not there when you're next to me.
Because guys think texting is enough.
Right.
You can spill it, baby, like it's free therapy, damn. But if I'm with someone, I don't wanna be lonely. Lately I've been pacing alone in my room. Can't get complacent, gotta switch up the view. God damn, I love you. I don't care about the morning text. If you're not there when you're next to me, I don't care, always there, get it off your chest. You can spill it, baby, like it's free therapy, damn. But if I'm with someone, I don't wanna be lonely. You always say you're fucking busy. Who doesn't have time for a quickie? I mean, come on, it reduces stress. And you can still call me baby. With all this transparency, damn. But if I'm with someone, I don't wanna be lonely.
Yeah. Ooh.
That actually brings me to.
Wait. Sorry.
No worries. I do sometimes feel that texting is such a crutch where I would rather like saying good morning in a text or good night is kind, but I would almost rather, instead of trying to text me throughout the day, just us meeting up or having a phone call at the end of the day so we have more to talk about. Because when you're texting all the time, it like makes it so when you're in person, you've already talked about everything and it's all through text.
Yes. That's what Corey Wayne, back to him. That's what he says. It's like when you're dating somebody, it's like putting a cake in the oven each week. And it's like, if you're texting too often throughout the day, it's almost like you're continuing to open the door and check to see if the cake's done. And it never has a chance to rise and build tension. And
right. Especially at the beginning of a relationship, like when you're building the foundation, texting and getting to know each other through text, you're not really getting to know someone. You don't get to hear their tone and see their expressions. And but that song specifically was actually like when I was deeper into my relationship and I felt like he couldn't communicate to me. But I just think it was like when I said something about the part where I mentioned
the bridge.
I don't care about a good morning text if you're not there when you're next to me. 'Cause it's like I felt every day he would be so on point with saying good morning, or in the middle of the day, how's your day going? And then at night we would like be hanging out in person and I'd feel like there's no communication there. It was very like, let's just watch something, eat and pass out. And I was like, so we've been talking all day. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely just moving forward going to be a lot more intentional about the whole texting thing, because I do think it's more so for like immediate needs or like meeting up or whatever. And
the direct thing that we talked about, I've learned to be very direct in communicating my style to the person I'm dating. Because I've noticed like I'll be dating somebody and maybe in the beginning I'll notice right away like they're texting me a lot, and I have just a different style of texting. So I'll communicate to them like I'll communicate to them the kind of pace that feels good to me.
Yeah.
But I'll do it in a loving way. Like I don't even talk to my best friends and my family more than like literally once a week. So I just met you and it just does, talking to you 4 times, 5 times a day when I don't even talk to my best friend once a week. Yeah. But like if I'm talking to you like once a week in the beginning, to me that feels like a good pace.
Yeah.
But I'll communicate that too, because I also know like somebody who's texting a lot, if they're not getting it back, the stories start in their mind.
Yeah.
Because they don't know you, so they just start guessing of like, why isn't this person, they don't like me, et cetera, et cetera. But if you communicate right in the beginning, like, hey, no, I really like you, I want this to work out, but like I have a different pace than you and I want to like talk to you about that right away, so that I don't want you to get discouraged. But also I don't want to like, if you over text me, I'm gonna naturally start pulling away and like lose interest, and I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, no, it's smart. I definitely think that's very smart. I also feel like maybe throughout this conversation, I've been putting what seems like a blanket statement on all guys. I don't think all guys are the same. I think that I've just had like a certain experience with some guys. And I also don't think any of the guys in my past are by any means like bad people. I just, our relationships ended. I gained the experience that I did, and it led me to some pretty cool art. So
yeah, we need to get some like Gen Zs and get the alphas in a couple years when they're old enough to date. I'm just curious what their dating experiences are going to be like compared to like the millennials. And
it's crazy you say that, because I really do find that at least a lot of the Gen Zers that I know, they're just always on their phones. They're not in person at all. And unless for some reason they're like together all the time somehow, I don't know, they're just big social media kids. So it's like
but they're also pretty aware. I feel like maybe they are on their phones a lot, but they're also going to adapt and figure out a new way to date that is different from the way millennials have been doing it. I mean, we're like, you're a millennial?
Yeah.
We're like the in-between generation.
I feel like the idea of options is so huge though for them, because at least from my experience, I mean, for us it already is, but I think that it's just more okay if something doesn't work out, because there's like so many they can reach out to. Or I also, this is so random, and I just thought about I do find another reason that people are okay with loosely letting I don't want to say a relationship, but even just like a connection go, is because they're able to look at them on social media, so they feel like they're still in their life.
Yeah, isn't that bizarre?
Which is really kind of creepy to me, because I'll have people that stop talking to me, texting, like we no longer talk, and they're just still looking at me every day. And it's so wild because what I put on socials is so different than experiencing me in real life, but they still feel like they're a part of my life.
Yeah.
Which is so crazy.
A lot of people have this, like, we have like Frankenstein boyfriends and girlfriends. Yeah. Where it's like we piece together little bits of each person, and we've got this like Frankenstein relationship in our mind based on like, you know, our interactions.
Like everyone has like a way bigger roster in their mind because of like who they follow on socials. They're like, oh, that person I can still look at. And
yeah.
It's creepy.
Yeah. Very weird. Well, Jimmy, we're coming to the end of the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. It's been awesome having you on. Adobe family, if you're listening on the radio, this is video, by the way. So you can see the full video version of this interview on Adobe's website, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. I recommend watching it. But my guest is Jimmi Paige, and we were featuring her EP, Boy Crazy, which we were playing some of that of.
Thanks.
So what's your socials that you want them to follow you on? Because you don't have separate for Jimmi Paige, right? Is it?
Yeah, so my Jimmi Paige socials are Jimmi Paige Music on Instagram.
Jimmi.
Jimmipaige.
Okay.
On TikTok, it's just Jimmi Paige, spelt that way. And I also have a personal Instagram, which is just Paige_BXC. That is kind of like my personal...
BXE?
BXC, like
BXC.
Bonnie X Clyde, yeah. But yeah, pretty much Jimmi Paige Music everywhere, other than TikTok, which is just Jimmi Paige. But you can follow me anywhere on Spotify, Jimmi Paige, Apple Music. And I just dropped the Boy Crazy EP today and my first ever music video for Boy Crazy today, which was really, really cool.
I have to see that.
Yeah, you do. It's so cool. And I edited it myself.
All right, so we're going to close out with this. Jimmy, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming on Life Rhythms.
Thank you.
Life Rhythms with Ryan Skyy. Observing the world around me, looking inward, trying to make sense of it all.
You won't be fine, baby, trust I'm a bit boy crazy.